All right, y'all. Lexi Good, a Christian on TikTok, blowing up for all the wrong reasons. Let's get straight into it. Y'all can determine that for yourself.
Men are naturally submissive creatures. That's why they created armies and labor forces and capitalism. Women are not, and that's why they have to put so much effort into convincing us that we naturally are. They wouldn't have to if that was our nature. They are scared we will find out how much they actually like being told what to do.
Clearly, a really hot take on like a feminism, right?
And abuse it. Because that's what they would do. It's not a bad thing to like being told what to do. Decisions are exhausting. That's why capitalism intentionally breeds decision fatigue. They give you millions of choices of steaks and yogurts and cheeses at the grocery store. It's so you become so exhausted, you eventually let someone else make the big decisions for you. And men can finally not be so alone and there's
The crazy thing about this is like she weaves in decision fatigue, right, with like consumerism at the end, but it's very hard and a very hard analogy to tie into her original point with women not being naturally submissive creatures. But I had to go through a bunch of Bible verses, right, just to get all this. And let me zoom this in for y'all. It says every person, right? Like this is Paul talking about the government. Every person should be subject to governing authorities, for there is no authority except God, from God, and those which exist are established by God. All of us are called to be submissive to God. And then even in her opening analogy, saying that men are in military, well, how about the generals? If the men are generals and they're the ones giving the order, where does that fall in her line of reasoning? James 4:7, submit therefore to God, but resist the devil. All of us submit to God. Popular one here, she's not going to like this one. But the church is subject to Christ, so also the wives ought to be to their husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her. So wives to submit to their husbands and husbands submit to Christ as Christ died for the church. That's how we're supposed to love our wives. Very hard take here. And it's very sad because all the comments are saying, you're smart, I like you. Podcast, please, I am begging. Girl, I will buy you podcast equipment. It's kind of sad, but 100% false. I think, well, not that I think, I know this is not what the Bible preaches for this kind of men being naturally submissive creatures. Let's get to the next one.
I'm an actual
So here's a one that I think has a lot of traction. Let's play this one.
Christian. I donate enough money to charity every month to make me financially uncomfortable because
We're off to a bad start here.
I trust that God will always take care of me, so I can always take care of others. I'm a Christian. I believe God gave women dominion over the creation of life. And that means we can also choose not to create life. I'm an actual Christian. I believe the purpose of a church is to be surrounded by a spiritual community of people who want to support you.
I'm gonna let this one run through, then we'll talk about it after.
Not serve as a governing body to make you feel badly about yourself. I'm a Christian and I go out to the club on the weekends. Having fun is not a sin. I'm a Christian and I don't practice modesty. One of Adam and Eve's first symptoms from eating the tree of good and evil was having shame over being naked. So why would I feel shame over my body? God created it. And he created my fellow Christian brothers to have enough discipline to have that not bother them.
So the confusing part here is she's like weaving in the tiniest bits of truth, and the majority of it is counter to what the Bible is saying if you actually just read the Bible for what it says, which is the hard part. And I think why so many people love her videos. There's a comment on here that says, now this is a Christian I can support, and it got 50,000 plus likes. Oh man. So here's some that I think really will help just kind of make her arguments fall flat. I don't want to call them arguments, but her line of reasoning fall flat, right? The one that hit me that stood out to me the most really is at the end. The one she says, I'm a Christian and I go to the club. I'm a Christian, I'm not modest. And then I think about what Jesus says right here in Matthew. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Now, if your right eye is causing you to sin, tear it out and throw it away from you. For it is better for you to lose one of the parts of your body than your whole body to be thrown into hell. And then tying it right into the next one with what Paul says, therefore encourage one another and build one another up, just as you are also doing. And if you're truly in the body of Christ, truly a Christian, when she says I'm a Christian. When you say you're a Christian, it means you're a Christ follower. That's what Christian means. Christian, a mini Christ. It was a derogatory term, and it means we're supposed to be Christ followers. So if you're a Christ follower and you're taking his words when we say encourage one another and build another one up, just as you are also doing. If I knew I had a brother that had a severe drinking problem and alcoholism, and me and a few of the other brothers don't, who am I to even just invite him out to the bar when I know we can handle a couple beers and call it a day, but I know my brother can't do that, but I invite him out. That is not me building him up. And that's just even with my circle. So with her, for her to say that, I don't need to be modest when you go to anywhere, right? I mean, the club, there's probably, as a Christian, you shouldn't be at the club because, at the club, there's it's people wanting sexual attention. There's obviously a lot of people who are there who just want sex. There's people who want, get drunk. It's not a clean place to be, number one, right? So, I mean, I think that point's just weird. But to go anywhere without modesty, especially as women, as God made them, knowing that lust is a big thing that men deal with, is not being Christian. You're not building up the body of Christ. You're not helping them at all. If anything, you are an enemy. Maybe that's a strong word, but you're definitely an adversary if you're going out there very immodest. Okay, last one. All right, last one. Let's do it.
There's more evidence to suggest that Jesus was married than that he wasn't. I can get into that in another video.
Heresy. Man, honestly, I feel, this is my honest take right here. I feel like she is a agent of some foreign country. I'm not getting into an Israel debate here. That's not what I'm saying. But I think she's just rage baiting at this point. Honestly, if they're this good at rage baiting, they are doing their job well. Because after I saw this, I was like, man, I don't even know. I don't know if you're being for real. Let's
but I think fundamentally people have a problem with the idea because if Jesus was married, which again, there is more evidence he was than he wasn't.
Pause. Where?
That would mean there is a female Messiah because the Bible treats a married couple as one. That would literally mean there is a divine feminine counterpart.
Look, there's that little bit of truth. The Bible treats a married couple as one.
Jesus is never described as celibate. And while that doesn't mean he had a wife, rabbinic literature of the time wouldn't have included mention of a rabbi's wife anyways.
Rabbinic, okay, so now she's putting her proof in rabbinic literature when even though people called Jesus rabbi, he clearly was not part of that rabbinic culture. It was the Pharisees who killed him. I mean, I wonder if she knows. I don't know. This is her doing a good job at maybe being the best rage baiter ever. Okay, but here's where I think everywhere in the Bible, it says right here, for instance, like when Jesus is on the cross, when Jesus saw his mother and the disciples whom he loved, there's John, standing nearby, he said to his mother, "Woman, behold your son." Then he said to his disciple, "Behold your mother." And from that hour, the disciple took her into his own household to watch out after her. That's in my translation, my personal. But anyways, it is right there, right? Like if there was a wife, wouldn't he be there? Like it mentions all of his apostles, his half brother, his mother, Mary, his aunt, but doesn't mention his divine feminine counterpart. Everything about this is screaming Mormonism to me, and maybe that's what makes it make sense. If anything, we are the bride, and it says right here in Revelation, "Let's rejoice and be glad and give the glory to him, because the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his bride has prepared herself," the church. All right, y'all, that's what I have for y'all today. Maybe it's the best rage baiter ever, but definitely not a Christian, I would say, and a lot of true Christ followers would agree with me. Until next time, y'all.